When you hear the phrase change your life, it might bring to mind scenes like Rocky during his motivational montage, wearing a hoodie, running up the steps, downing raw egg smoothies, and transforming himself through sheer determination, willpower, and intensity. That "I've had enough and I turned everything around overnight" mindset is very extreme, and while it works for some, the truth is that 80% of people abandon their New Year's resolutions by the second week of February. Why? Because they're relying on that intense approach. What works better for most people is sustainability. So if you want to change your life in any way, whether big or small, you need to incorporate small, sustainable habits into your daily routine. Here are 5 of my personal favorites. 1. One-touch tasks. Think of your brain like a giant computer. If my computer has 20 tabs open or 5 applications running in the background, it slows down. Even though I'm not using them, they're still taking up resources. Your brain operates the same way. All the tasks you leave unfinished, things like replying to that text, paying that bill, or putting off something until later, are like open tabs, cluttering your mental space. This is where the concept of one-touching comes in, and it has been a game changer for me. The principle is simple. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do it now. Got a dirty dish? Wash it right away. Need to reply to a text? Do it now. Take out the trash, pay that bill, or add something to your calendar immediately. This habit ensures you're only doing things once, instead of repeatedly revisiting the same task. For example, many of us will read an email, mark it as unread, and come back to it later, touching it multiple times when we could have handled it in one go. You'll be amazed by how much time and energy you free up by implementing this habit of one-touching. 2. Breathwork for clarity. If you ever feel tired or lethargic during the day, no matter how much sleep you've had, and experience brain fog that coffee can't fix, this tip will definitely help you. It's simple, free, and can be done anytime, anywhere. I was listening to a podcast with Dr. Andrew Huberman, and he was discussing a breathing pattern that children naturally do when they're crying and trying to calm themselves down. It's also something dogs do in deep sleep. The breathing pattern involves taking 2 quick inhales, followed by an exhale. It looks something like this. Inhale, inhale again at the top, exhale. Huberman found that just 2 or 3 of these breaths make people feel more alert and less stressed. It helps you become more present by rapidly offloading CO2, which floods your system with oxygen. This simple breathing technique can help you snap out of brain fog, become more alert, and perform better in stressful situations. Next time you have a call, a meeting, or feel your energy dipping, try this breathing exercise. You'll start to calm down, feel more engaged, and perform better. Breathwork can also serve as a form of meditation. On my channel, we have some start-to-finish breathwork guides that people seem to really enjoy. 3. Boredom hours. Last year, my dad and I went on a road trip, and instead of using a regular car, we decided to rent a Tesla. We'd never driven one before and wanted to see what the electric car experience was all about. It was great, but something I didn't expect was experiencing what's called range anxiety. That's when you watch the battery level of the car drop lower and lower, and as it hits 40%, then 30%, and eventually 10%, you start to panic about finding a charging station before the car dies. Just like that Tesla, I think we all have our own kind of range anxiety. Whether it's with our emotions or mental health, we often say things like, "I'm burnt out," "I'm exhausted," or "it's draining." And these expressions reflect how our mental and emotional battery is running low. One big thing that drains our battery throughout the day is overstimulation. Think about how crazy it is that we can spend an hour on our phones and see at least 60 different pieces of content. We're in a hypnotic trance, scrolling endlessly, absorbing all these people telling us what to do and think. There's a quote that has stuck with me. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit alone in a room quietly. We've lost the ability to just be with ourselves, and even when we try to relax, we're plugged in, whether it's watching TV, scrolling on our phones, or listening to something. This leads me to my next habit, which I call boredom hours. It's the intentional practice of being bored. Boredom is seen as a negative thing, but if you flip your perspective, you can use boredom as a way to recharge. Don't fill every spare moment with stimulation. When I began doing this, I found a lot of peace. Anxiety, after all, is your mind racing at a mile a minute. If you're glued to 6 hours of TikTok every day, loaded up on caffeine, not sleeping enough, and constantly consuming content, your brain never gets a break. Instead of filling every dull moment with content, try boredom hours. Spend time with yourself, which might feel uncomfortable at first, but you'll begin to rediscover your own thoughts, opinions, and feelings. I think many people feel lost or like they don't know themselves because they spend all day consuming other people's thoughts. Give yourself the space to get to know yourself again. Boredom is more than just overstimulation management. It's self-connection time, chunking your goals. It's a well-known fact that people who set goals achieve more than those who don't. But there's a major flaw in how most people set goals. They see them as all or nothing. It's either you hit the goal 100% or you fail entirely. When you approach goals this way, you're constantly in a state of not there yet, which can be demotivating. That's where the concept of chunking comes in. Chunking is all about breaking your big goals into smaller, more manageable milestones. For example, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds, you won't lose 20 pounds overnight. You'll lose 5, then 10, then 15, and eventually 20. In the case of building a YouTube channel, I didn't set one big goal of reaching 100,000 subscribers. Instead, I broke it down into smaller steps. 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, and so on. Every time I hit one of these milestones, I could celebrate progress, and it kept me motivated and excited. So, how can you break down your big goal into 3 or 4 smaller targets? These mini goals will help you build momentum and stair-step your way to the larger goal, making it easier to avoid procrastination. Number 5. Incorporate movement. You've probably heard the phrase, sitting is the new smoking. There's a reason this phrase gained popularity. In 2019, a study from the Mayo Clinic found that people who sit for more than 8 hours a day with little or no physical activity have the same risk of death and disease as people who smoke or are obese. That's a wake-up call to incorporate movement into your life. Now, this doesn't mean you have to spend an hour and a half at the gym every day doing hardcore weightlifting. Just a few minutes of movement throughout the day can dramatically improve your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. One of my habits is going for long walks. I live near a golf course in Arizona, so I take a walk on the Greenbelt, often with an audiobook, and I make sure to hit 10,000 steps a day. Another thing I've done is get a standing desk. I don't stand all day, but even a few hours of standing instead of sitting makes a big difference. I also splurged on a mini trampoline, and even though it was a bit pricey, around $1,200, it's been worth every penny. Just 10 minutes of bouncing on it gets my blood flowing and I feel energized. Moving throughout the day has had a massive impact on my mood, mental clarity, and energy levels. It's one of those habits that you absolutely can't skip. Your body and mind need it. Try incorporating these 5 habits into your daily life and you'll notice real, sustainable changes. Whether it's tackling one-touch tasks, using breathwork to clear your mind, giving yourself boredom hours, chunking your goals, or incorporating more movement, each of these small habits can make a significant impact. Do what works best for you. But remember, even small changes can lead to big results.